Karl Frisch.
Hello, I'm actually shocked that the president and vice president have a full plate and can't do sexy liberal right away.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's because Travis is obviously, lollygagging.
It is obviously Travis's fault. It is not the fault of the former administration that left a giant mess for them to clean up.
Thank you, Karl.
Exactly.
That's why we can't have nice things. Yeah.
I mean, Karl, even for you, a long time, political strategist, this is an extraordinary first week, isn't it? I mean, how many press conferences was that yesterday? I mean, so much competence and good policy and transparency and respectfulness and answering questions and explaining what the policy is. And
I mean, the shorter version of that is like so little BS, right?
Yeah.
I mean, press conferences where questions were answered. We saw President Biden take questions from even Fox News, and while he gave him a little bit of a nudge in the ribs, he still took their question respectfully.
Yes. And by the way, can I hear cut one? Jen Psaki, superstar, your thoughts? I mean, Jen, probably. We've had Jen on this show, and so we already knew this, how smart and funny and kind and amazing she is. But
right.
It is such whiplash, isn't it? I mean, and speaking of not taking stupid, dealing with, what do you think about this Trump stupid tweet? So when she was asked about QAnon Betty, here's what she said.
The White House have a comment on this social media profile that has emerged of Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. And is there a response to whether any disciplinary action should be taken against her given everything that's come out?
We don't. And I'm not going to speak further about her, I think, in this briefing room.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, it's back to normalcy. Like, this is your problem. You take care of her. There's already obviously a resolution to expel her. But, she also might be caught up criminally, don't you think, in the insurrection?
Well, for people who are wondering, how do you not give a platform to a white nationalist conspiracy theorist? You don't give a platform to white nationalist conspiracy theorists, right?
But she's every kind of conspiracy theorist. 9/11, the Parkland was a false flag. Las Vegas was a false flag by liberals.
You can almost imagine if she's using like the drinking fountain in the house or washing her hands, her muttering under her breath about how fluoride is a plot to control the universe.
Oh, God.
Yes. I mean, okay. But here's, Daniel Dale, the fact checker, who, he's got to be like the Maytag repairman now, right? He's like, oh, it's all facts. Everything's true. But so he still has to check the right wing because, like, they really are the party of Trump, aren't they, Karl? Like, they all just lie. Yeah. Madison Cawthorn lies about his being a paramilitary, Olympic athlete. Tom Cotton lies about being an Army Ranger. This one, he said there are tens of thousands of social media shares of an article that wrongly suggests that ICE was ordered to release all undocumented immigrants. Representative Jordan then posted a claim that Biden himself issued this non-existent order, then made a similar claim on Fox. Well, we see how the right-wing echo chamber is going to work. It's just going to be complete lies. Just like
yes, it is not. It is not just Congresswoman chemtrails, right? It is the whole body of the Republican caucus. That is what they're made on. The lessons they learned from Trump are the wrong lessons, clearly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Every time Mitt Romney says something reasonable, you're like, oh, he's the reject in the Republican Party. He's the outlier, right?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that only 5 Republican senators thought it was worth going forward with impeachment tells you everything you need to know about the Republican caucus. Trump may be off Twitter, but he's still taking up rent-free space in everybody in the Republican caucus's head.
Yeah. I got to say, where's this tweet? President Joe Biden has ousted a White House doctor accused of misleading the public regarding Donald Trump's COVID-19 diagnosis last fall. That guy, remember, Sean Conley,
yeah.
Dr. Birx, gone. He's fired 3 other Trump appointees. I mean, Uncle Joe's nice, but he's not effing around, Karl. I mean, I saw something today that looks like he's moving toward looking at whatever they would call packing the courts. But I'm like, good. get as much done as you can in 2 years. Make them run on taking all of this away from people, right? I mean,
yeah, it's not personal. It's business, and it's the business of fixing what is broken in this country.
Right.
He's not going to have these sycophants. You know, Dr. Bricks and people like her can talk about how they were so disheartened when they served under President Trump, and yet they never stood up and did anything about it.
Yeah, and went further and had to, bootlick him and be a sycophant and talk about how good he is at this data, just things that nobody believed even at the time, and so I think, I just love, first of all, like, who put forward yesterday DC statehood, all this stuff that we should have done a long time ago. Ari Berman, our friend, tweeted, Wyoming has 578,000 people, is 92% white, and has 2 senators. DC has 705,000 people, is 46% black, and has 0 senators. Dems introduced a bill today to make DC the 51st state. Just things that are long overdue, right?
Absolutely. Long overdue. Do it with Puerto Rico too. Look, you're talking about ignored populations. Look at how Washington, D.C. was treated during the Trump years. He unleashed, troops on the population of D.C. So, we know that D.C. deserves representation in the House and the Senate. And there's only one reason Republicans are standing in the way.
And you're right, Karl, that I didn't even think of that this goes to what happened on January 6th, that they don't have powers to, right, because they're not a state in terms of being able to call in. Obviously, we see this one all the way to the top, that the Pentagon prevented the cap. But clearly this is part of what happened is, DC doesn't have the powers of a state to stop what happened January 6th.
Right. Or come to anybody's aid. And having that flexibility would have been very helpful. Instead, the calls were going out to Virginia and Maryland.
Yeah. Well, and maybe it's having a Nuremberg prosecutor dad, Karl, but T-Pain tweeted, the U.S. didn't defeat the Nazis with compromise and unity. You won't defeat Trumpism that way either. I'm sorry, when you're going to talk about cancel culture, cancel the guy with the Auschwitz sweatshirt and the 6 million weren't enough. Like, we canceled them once. We'd like to cancel them again. It's... Right, the Republicans can't even stand up against these white supremacist anti-Semites. That is going to go to party, doesn't it?
You want to talk law and order? Like, after nearly 200 officers were injured in that insurrection, we're hearing about all the different issues, stemming from it, and yet they still won't do anything. And they think the only way to unify is to forget it ever happened. I'm sorry if we can't forget that you and your ilk helped incite that mob, but people have to be held accountable.
Let's unpack the wonderfulness just from yesterday, Karl. So for the second time in as many weeks, President Biden, that is President Biden. I haven't said the word president hardly in 4 years. Have I, Travis? I told you when I highlight my stories, I just started with Trump. I deliberately, I didn't say it. I didn't highlight it. And now I just can't say President Joe Biden enough, because here's what President Joe Biden did yesterday.
Who are you talking about?
I'm sorry. Oh, thank you, Chris. President Joe Biden.
I see. Okay.
President Biden yesterday. The United States of America.
Good. Just double checking.
He issued sweeping executive orders to confront global climate change and other environmental crises. The orders elevate climate change as a key foreign policy and national security priority. Thank you. And temporarily pause new oil and gas leasing on federal land, set a national goal of protecting 30% of Americans' land and water by 2030. Orders are part of an early blitz of early executive actions, unraveling Trump's, I love when they say Trump's legacy. Legacy normally means something even vaguely good, but okay. From his botched response to the coronavirus pandemic to his ban on transgender Americans serving in the military. And I love the way Biden said it yesterday. He said, today is climate day at the White House, which means that today is jobs day at the White House. I'm so sick of this debate, Karl, where it's like the right wing has always said, it's either the environment or jobs. You can't, it's like, no. Clean jobs is all about the future, right? It's all of where we should be going.
Countries in Europe have figured it out. Look, we need a number of things in this country. Moving towards green jobs means redoing the electrical grid. It means looking at new technologies. It is the definition of job creation. And if we lean into it, we can do it. If you really are an America First crowd, you'll want us to lead in this segment of the economy, because if we don't, other countries will.
Yeah. And here's the other, this went right to the heart of it for me. He said, unlike previous administrations, I don't think the federal government should give handouts to big oil to the tune of $40 billion in fossil fuel subsidies. We're going to take money and invest it in clean energy jobs in America. It's just,
amen.
Oh my God. I don't know if you saw that meme with just him, Biden signing things going, un-F this, un-F this, un-F this effing thing. Oh, and this effing thing over here, and un-F this. It's like,
I thought it was real at first, and I really wanted one of the pens.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Wait, we have this one. I just want to hear this whole thing, him on jobs and clean energy.
Unlike previous administrations, I don't think the federal government should give handouts to big oil to the tune of $40 billion in fossil fuel subsidies. And I'm going to be going to the Congress asking them to eliminate those subsidies. We're going to take money and invest it in clean energy jobs in America. Millions of jobs in wind, solar, and carbon capture. In fact, today's action is going to help us increase renewable energy production from offshore wind and meet our obligation to be good stewards of our public lands.
Actually going to have an infrastructure week, Carl, that's actually going to involve infrastructure.
It's going to be amazing.
Every week was infrastructure week during the Trump administration, wasn't it?
And nothing ever got done. And nothing ever got built.
Well,
Isn't
infrastructure
Pete
was
running
just-
that?
every time it was infrastructure week, something disastrous happened.
I know, we're like, oh no, infrastructure week. Yeah.
I
And then
actually
how
think
much-
that
Go ahead.
I think that they would have a crisis brewing and just decide, I guess we'll give them infrastructure week again. That seems to work.
It was a distraction from the scandal of the day. But and finally, how much do I love Gina McCarthy, who just talked to Khan Havayad, but oh my God, like the best on climate. I mean, just people that, oh my God, facts and science and whatever. It's just too much. But here's Gina McCarthy.
As President Biden has often told us, when he thinks of climate change, his first thought is about jobs. And it should be, because people in this country need a job. And this is about making that happen in the most creative and significant way that the federal government can move forward. And we're going to make sure that nobody is left behind. And I'm not just talking about communities in terms of environmental justice, but workers as well.
Oh, Carl, it's
Absolutely.
too much. It's too
Well,
much.
I
It's
mean-
too much diversity and competence, and it's all so boring. It's so glorious.
The Trump
Twitter
administration
silence.
on climate was beyond subpar. And,
Yes.
we don't have to do much to do better. And it's encouraging to see the administration going all in on this.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot. It's a lot. Carl, I love you. It feels like I feel like I see
It's a new day.
animated birds. It's a new day. I
Hold
see
on to
animated
it.
birds
Look.
around you. And
Republicans are going to do everything they can to stop this. They're already trying. So we
I
need
know.
to stay in this fight.
I know. Even on Twitter yesterday, I tweeted my Love Trump's Hate T-shirt, which you retweeted, and I just said, with all everything Biden's done in his first week and 63% approval rating, feels like the good guys finally won. Love Trump's hate. And then everyone's like, no, not yet. And we still have to go. I'm like, I know. Just give me a minute. I know we have to stay in the fight, and I know. But at least give us this moment. It's been a long 4 years, right? Like,
We can savor while we fight.